Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Rosh HaShanna Daf Lamed. We begin on the very last line of Chav Tes Amud Beis. Yesterday we learned that although Chachamim were concerned about Tkiyah Shofar taking place on Shabbos because perhaps this fellow will carry it through the street, so therefore they suspended the Tkiyah Shofar on Shabbos. However, when Rosh HaShanna falls out on Shabbos, we still blow in the Mikdash. Not only in the Mikdash, because of Ein Shavus B'Mikdash, but at any Makkah where there was a Bezdin, for instance, in Yavne. Bezdin will look after it. You're under the auspices of Bezdin, and there's no concern about transgressing, doing the Havara B'Shus HaRabim. So there was a heter to blow shofar on Rosh HaShanna Shechal Liyos B'Shabbos if you're in the vicinity of a Bezdin. Says the Gemara on the bottom line, Amr loy echad Yavne v'echad kol makom sheyesh bo Bezdin. Whether it's Yavne or any other Bezdin, even if it's not a Supreme Court, the Sanhedrin of Shivim Be'echad, even a small Bezdin, 23 Dayanim, that also allows blowing the shofar on Rosh HaShanna that falls out on Shabbos. And the point here is, once again, because when you're in the vicinity of Bezdin, you're under the auspices of Bezdin, you relate to Bezdin, it creates that awareness. Perhaps Bezdin themselves will look after it, make sure that everything is being done properly without Isurim. So they suspended the Isser when we're dealing with a Makom of Bezdin. So either in the Mikdash, or after the Churban throughout Yerushalayim, we learned that as well, throughout the whole Yerushalayim, the Yira Shamayim of the Beis HaMikdash, of the Makom HaMikdash, perhaps extends into the whole city, so there was no Isser to blow on Rosh HaShanna Shechal Liyos B'Shabbos in Yerushalayim, in the areas near Yerushalayim, the suburbs as well, or in Yavne, or any other place where there was a Bezdin. Amar Rav Huna, 3 words, V'im Bezdin. So Rav Huna tells us, this heter to blow in a mokum of Bezdin, Yavne, etc., Davka V'im Bezdin. Now, these are 3 cryptic words. What does that mean? Bezdin itself will blow. It means when you're in front of Bezdin, when Bezdin is in session. It could have many meanings. I think we'll explore what exactly he had in mind. My V'im Bezdin. What does V'im Bezdin mean? Bifnei Bezdin. In the presence of Bezdin. So when Bezdin is directly observing what you're doing, then you can blow your shofar. They'll ensure that you don't carry it through the street. They'll ensure things are done properly. As opposed to if it's not in front of Bezdin, you can't blow on Rosh HaShanna Shechal Liyos B'Shabbos. So Rav Huna is machadash to us that unlike Yerushalayim, where you didn't need that condition to be met, even without Bifnei Bezdin, whether you're in front of them or not, if you're in the city, you can blow. So Yerushalayim had a broader heter. The whole city lends the more meticulous observance and higher atmosphere. And therefore, they broadened the heter throughout the whole city. But when it comes to a Bezdin, if you're in front of the Bezdin, fine. They gave it some structure. You can't just blow wherever you are. If you're in front of Bezdin, Bezdin will look after it. Then we're not concerned about carrying through the street. But if you're not in front of Bezdin Deloy, you can't blow on Rosh HaShanna Shechal Liyos B'Shabbos. Masav Rava, I have a kasha from the Mishnah which says, V'oid zois, hoyisi Yerushalayim, Yisera al Yavne v'chulu. Mishnah contrasted Yerushalayim to Yavne. Yerushalayim had an advantage, another advantage over Yavne, meaning when Yerushalayim was the place where they would blow, then there were benefits to Yerushalayim which are not present when you blow in Yavne, which is after the Churban, when the Sanhedrin moved to Yavne. So though you can blow both places, but there are advantages. There are benefits to Yerushalayim over Yavne. V'oidos, also this. Now, problem is, Mishnah only mentions one comparison. The concept of the suburbs around Yerushalayim are included in Yerushalayim's heter, because the heter of the city extends into the suburbs as well, whereas by Yavne, it's Davka in front of the Bezdin. That's all. The Mishnah doesn't speak about 2 things. So what's V'oid Zois? My V'oid Zois, Yerushalayim had another advantage. Is it the item that the Mishnah does mention? Well, it's only one. Zois. Mi boili. Mishnah should say, this is one advantage that it had over Yavne. So what's the missing link here? There's something wrong. There's something missing here in the Mishnah. So let's try to figure out what's missing. We're looking to find another advantage in Yerushalayim over Yavne. On top of that, the Mishnah says, V'oid zois. There was another one as well. So what's the first one? Ella, it must be as follows. The Gemara will explore three options. Perhaps it's discussing who's going to blow. Perhaps it's a question of when do we blow. Or perhaps where. We're going to go through three steps. Ella, let's assume like this. The first advantage is to be Yerushalayim toiken bechidim. In Yerushalayim, it wasn't just Bezin that would blow. Everybody can blow. It was an all-out heter. But Yavne in toiken yichidin. But in Yavne, it was only shtuchi Bezin that can do it. We don't rely on the individuals. Perhaps they'll carry it through the street. There wasn't that broad heter. Perhaps that's the first contrast between Yerushalayim and Yavne. That's the missing link. That doesn't work. But Yavne in toiken yichidin. In Yavne, no individuals would blow on Shabbos. When he came, he said, Omar, I'll tell you personal experience. When the Shliach Tzibur finished blowing on Rosh HaShanna Shechalias b'Shabbos in Yavne, what happened? It was so noisy. It was such a ruckus going on. A person couldn't hear a sound in his ears. Means it was so overwhelming because everybody was busy blowing because of the noise, the sounds coming from the blowing the yechidai of the individuals. So even yechidim would blow in Yavne. It was an all-out heter. If you're in front of Bezin, free for all. So that can't be the difference between Yerushalayim and Yavne. So it can't be a matter of who. Perhaps it's a matter of when. And that will be the difference. Elalav, you must say, to be Yerushalayim token, bein bizman bezin. Bein bizman bezin. Yerushalayim was a broad heter. You can blow throughout the city, whether or not Bezin was in session. So even past 12 o'clock, when Bezin was done after hours, you can still continue blowing. It was a heter applied to this city. Ubi Yavne, as opposed to Yavne, where it was a more limited heter, more Bezdin related. Bizman Bezdin in. When Bezdin is in session until 6 hours in a day, then subconsciously you relate to Bezdin. You feel like you're under the auspices of Bezdin. You try to conform, and you'll make sure not to carry that shofar through the street. Shaloi Bizman Bezdin, but if Bezdin is off hours, out of session, then you cannot blow in Yavne. So perhaps that's the difference between Yerushalayim, it was all-out heter, whether or not Bezdin was in session, as opposed to Yavne, where you need Bezdin in session to allow that blowing on Shabbos. So if it's just a question of timing, and obviously you don't need to be in the presence of Bezdin. That's a kasha on Rav Huna. Ha bizman Bezdin. Apparently, if Bezdin is in session, Mia toiken, you can blow even if Bezdin is not here. You're not in front of the Bezdin. The fact that Bezdin is in session, that itself lends to the awareness. Subconsciously, you relate to the Bezdin. It's insight in human psychology. When Bezdin is in session, you try to strive high. You're inspired by the Bezdin who is right now in session, even though you're not observing them in session. That's all you need. You don't need Bifnei Bezdin. Whereas Rav Huna tells us, V'im Bezdin. You need to be in front of Bezdin to blow. Bloy, says the Gemara, how do you know that's the pshat? Perhaps, let's suggest a different pshat. You know what the contrast between Yerushalayim and Yavne is? Exactly this. Whether you need Bifnei. Dilu Yerushalayim token. Bein Bifnei Bezdin. Bein Yerushalayim Bifnei Bezdin. Yerushalayim was a broad heta throughout the city, whether or not you're in front of Bezdin. Whether or not Bezdin is in session. They never applied an Issa in Yerushalayim. The whole atmosphere lends to a higher level of observance. They suspended the Isser of Isser blowing on a shofar. As opposed to B'Yavne, B'fnei Bezdin in, Shaloi B'fnei Bezdin loy, in Yavne, you have to be in front of Bezdin. Who look after you? Who will ensure that things are done properly. And this is exactly what Rav Huna tells us. If you want to blow in Yavne, make sure it's in front of the Bezdin. Rav Huna. Others had a different version of events. Rav Huna's statement was applied to not blowing on Rosh HaShanna b'Shabbos, rather on the Tkiyah Shofar which took place on Yom Kippur of a Yovel year. T'chsev, by Yom Kippurim, taviru shofar b'chol artzachem. In Yom Kippur, you want to blow wherever you are. Malamed, this teaches us shekol yochad v'yochad chaylit koy. Every individual blows a shofar. It's not just Bezdin. Everybody blows. On that, Omer Rav Huna v'im Bezdin. Sure, you can blow, make sure it's v'im bezdin. Now what does this mean? It can't mean in front of bezdin, because you blow b'chol artzechem, wherever you are, in a different city, in a different town. So what does v'im bezdin mean? My v'im bezdin, bizman bezdin. When bezdin is in session, lafuki shalei bizman bezdin delay, as opposed to after hours. You no longer relate to the bezdin, and therefore there's a concern. It's Yom Kippur, you're meant to carry. Don't blow the shofar, because you might carry it through the street. So sure, there's a chiv on every yachid, wherever you are. Make sure it's bizman bezdin. Mosav Rava, how can you say that? Tkiyas, and the Hagoyes Agrua takes out Rosh HaShanna. Tkiyas yovel derechas HaShabbos. You blow the shofar on the yovel, Yom Kippur, that's what derechas HaShabbos means. It's a way of saying Yom Kippur. So say the Rishonim. So you blow even on Yom Kippur. Big Vulin, in all the towns outside Yerushalayim as well. Ish Ubeisai, a man and his home. That's the Brisa. What does this mean? My Ish Ubeisai. Ilem Ish Ishtoi Beisai is a term for a wife. So a man and women both blow? It is Sami Machayva. Do you mean to say a woman blows a shofar on Yovel? It's a time-related mitzvah. And Isha is generally pater from these types of mitzvahs. Elalav Isha bebeisai. Brisa means Isha bebeisai. Everyone in his own home. I feel a shleib is man bezdin. You don't reckon with the times of bezdin. It's a private affair. You blow whatever you want. So Kasha Rav Huna who says you can only blow when the bezdin is in session, which will ensure that you comply and you don't carry it through the streets. No, perhaps the Brisa is referring to Zman Bezdin, even though it says Ishu Beisai, but you still have to make sure it's Zman of Bezdin. So subconsciously you're relating, you're connecting to the Bezdin, and you'll be in tune to the fact that you have to be careful and do things right. Masav Rav Sheshes. Listen to this Brisa. Shava Yovel Rosh HaShanna L'Tkiya Ula Brachos. Generally, Yovel and Rosh HaShanna are equated when it comes to blowing and comes to brachos of malchus, zichronis and shofar. You do the same as you do on Rosh HaShanna, you do on Yom Kippur of Yovel. But there's one difference, Elo. Shebe Yovel, toiken ben bebezdin. Shekitru sachodesh. Shekitru boye sachodesh. On Yovel, you blow, whether you're in the bezdin, which is the Supreme Court, the bezdin shel shivim ve'echad in Yerushalayim, which is generally, doesn't have to be, but generally that's the one that takes care of Kiddush HaChodesh. Or even in a regular bezdin, which isn't generally involved in the Kiddush HaChodesh, you blow on Yom Kippur of Yovel. Not only that, every yachid has to blow. There's a chiv on every individual. So that's for Yom Kippur of Yovel. Rosh HaShanna, as opposed to Rosh HaShanna, when it falls out on Shabbos, you only blow in the Supreme Court bezdin, the one that's Mekadosh Chodesh. This is in line with Shitas Rabbi Lezer yesterday, who says that it only works in a makom of a bezdin shel shivim be'echad. Okay, that's number one. And every yachad doesn't have to blow. Now what does this mean? My ein kol yachad v'yachad chaylet kaya. So Rosh HaShanna, the yachad doesn't have to blow. What does this mean? Do you mean to say that on Yovel everybody blows? Rosh HaShanna that falls out on Shabbos, right? Any toikin yechidin, individuals don't blow. It's only a reshus for bezdin to do. It's not meant for the individuals. That's not so. We had that story before in Yavna where everybody started blowing. When he came, he said, Omar, when the Shliach Tzibur finished this case in Yavna on Rosh HaShanna that falls out on Shabbos, it was so noisy. You couldn't hear a sound because everybody's blowing. That can't be pshat in the Brisa. Elalav. So what then does the Brisa mean? What advantage does Yovel have over Rosh HaShanna? It can't be a matter of who, because everybody blows in either case. So perhaps it's a question of where or when. Elalav. The ilu b'Yovel toikin bein bezman bezdin. It's a question of where, of when. Yovel, you blow whether bezdin is in session, bezdin is out of session. Rosh HaShanna, as opposed to Rosh HaShanna, Chacham was for some reason were more machmer, and said no, bezman bezdin, when bezdin is in session, go ahead and blow, because you're connecting mentally to the bezdin, creates that higher sense of awareness. and you won't carry it through the street. But shaloi bizman bezin, but if bezin is already after hours, it's your private affair, you're not going to necessarily have that heightened sensitivity to be careful and not do any malacha. So for some reason, Yovel is a broader heter, perhaps because it's a pasuk that you meant to blow on Kippur. So whether it's Zman Bezin or not, you blow. Rosh HaShanna was restricted to Zman Bezin. Oh, if that's the case, what do we see here? Katani miyas. Anyway, we just learned. B'yovel bein bezman bezin, bein shlei bezman bezin. That by Yovel, you do it whether or not there's a bezin in session. That's the kasha of Huna. That you only blow Yom Kippur of Yovel if bezin's in session. We're concerned about carrying through the street. You have to relate to the bezin. The more lie. Let's relearn the Brisa. The Brisa is contrasting to Yovel, which has an advantage over Rosh HaShanna. So it wasn't a question of who, because we just concluded that everybody would blow in either case. Even the Yechidim blew on Rosh HaShanna. It can't be a question of when, because if that's the case, then we have a kasha that you don't need b'fnei bezin. Apparently, it can't be a question, right? It can't be a question of Zman, because then we had this kasha that apparently only Zman is the criterion. You don't need b'fnei. Sorry, let's backtrack. It can't be a question of who, because in either case, Yechidim would blow, Rosh HaShanna or Yovel. We suggested perhaps the contrast pertained to Zman. Yovel you blow whether or not Bezin is in session, as opposed to Rosh HaShanna. But that was a kasha of Huna. That on Yovel has to be Zman Bezin. Says, well, let's find another option. Option 3. It's a question of where. That's the contrast. Loi lo'ilum bizman bezin. Of course, even on Yovel, there has to be Zman Bezin to create that awareness, to refrain from malach if I'm carrying through the street. So what does the Brisa mean? And the Brisa is contrasting Yovel, which has an advantage over Rosh HaShanna. V'chik tani. B'Yovel bizman bezin toiken. Bein b'fnei bezin, bein b'shaloi b'fnei bezin. Oh, it's a question of where you blow. So by Yovel you have to have Zman Bezin. That's number one. But it doesn't have to be in the presence of Bezin. The pasuk says you blow it b'chol artzachem, in your basement. You don't have to be in front of Bezin. So Chacham did not add an Isser. The Torah says you do it wherever you are, as long as it's Bizman Bezin. But you do need that basic ingredient that generates awareness and heightened sensitivity to avoid malach. So that's by Yovel. Whether or not you're in front of Bezin, that's okay. As opposed to Rosh HaShanna, Toikin, Bizman Bezin, B'fnei Bezin. Oh, Rosh HaShanna we're more machmer. You need A, the Zman of Bezin, and B, in front of Bezin. To really create that heightened sense of awareness and the auspices of Bezin, which will look after what they're doing, make sure that they're not going to be carried through the street. Apparently Yovel is more kal because perhaps it's the pasuk which says you can blow wherever you are, so the Chacham didn't want to go against that and make that Isser. So bottom line is, in either case you need Zman Bezin. That's the basic ingredient. On Yovel you don't need B'fnei Bezin, but Rosh HaShanna does need B'fnei Bezin, and in fact this works very well with Rav Huna. And the bottom line is like this. It's a little bit of a complicated Gemara. Let's just quickly recap the two parts of the Gemara. Rav Huna says the words V'im Bezin. The Gemara, two versions, two applications, two possibilities of what he meant. In version 1, he was referring to Rosh HaShanna, which falls out on Shabbos. You can blow in Yavna, on a makom that has a Bezin, but it has to be in front of Bezin. They look after you, make sure everything's properly done. According to version 2, he was referring to blowing the shofar in Kippur of a Yovel. You don't need B'fnei Bezin, but at least you need Bizman Bezin. That's the maskana. On Yovel you can blow wherever you are, as long as it's Bizman Bezin, Bezin's in session. Whereas Rosh HaShanna Shechalitz B'Shabbos, you need both elements, Bizman Bezin and B'fnei Bezin. Continues the Gemara. Here comes the interesting shaila. Oh, first the raya. Itmar nami. We have a raya to this. Amar Chaya bar Gamda Rav Yosef ben Shol. Amar Rebbe. Ein toiken ella kol zman shebezin yoshvin. So the individuals who want to blow on Yom Kippur, on Yovel, to make sure that the bezin is in session. Apparently, even on Shabbos or Yom Tov, they were in session. The pasuk in Shilas, not to look after monetary cases, but shaylas of Isser Beheter, and you have to make sure Bezdin's in session, which lends to that awareness and heightened sensitivity to ensure things are done properly. Oh, here comes the shayla. But Abzir, what about the following case? Nin arulamid. You see, the Yanim are done, they adjourn their sessions, they're about to get up. But have not yet risen from their chairs. Mao. What is the halacha here? Bezdin yoishvin beinan vayika? What does Zman Bezdin mean? When they're still sitting? Well, they're sitting. You need the Zman Bezdin. When they're in session, it's over. It's after hours. They're about to get up. Teiku, we'll leave it unresolved. Mishnah says Yerushalayim had an advantage. That whenever they were mater, Tkiyah Shofar and Shabbos in Yerushalayim, it was a citywide heter which extended into the suburbs as well, so provided those suburbs are close enough that can relate to Yerushalayim, within earshot, within eyesight, within walking distance, 4 conditions. Mishnah spoke about a city which is Roya, Sheimaas, Kroiva, and Yechodah Love. What are the 4 things? Roya means they can see. Prat liyesheves b'nachal, as opposed to a city which is sitting in a ravine out of sight. Sheimaas means that they can hear the sounds coming from Yerushalayim. Sometimes you can be close by, but up on a mountain, the sound waves don't travel up there. Prat liyesheves b'roshahar, as opposed to a city situated on the next mountain. When it said kroiva, within the tchum, within walking distance. Prat liyesheves chutz tchum, as opposed to a city out of the tchum. Well, isn't that automatic? If you're in the tchum, you can come. No. Sometimes you can be close enough, but there's an obstruction. Prat, there's a river intersecting, getting in the way, which obstructs access. So a town which had all 4 conditions met, earsight, eyesight, close by, no obstructions, relates to Yerushalayim in this context of the heter, of blowing shofar in Yerushalayim. That's the point of Shemas. You can hear, so you relate to the blowing of Yerushalayim, and therefore you incorporate in the heter of Tkiyah Shofar b'Shabbos. Continues the Mishnah. Barishayna, initially, during when the Mikdash was standing, Haya halulav nitel b'Mikdash shiva. You would take the lulav throughout all 7 days of Sukkot in the Mikdash. The pasuk says, "Usmachtam lefnei Hashem lakechem shivas yamim." That was dafka the Mikdash. Medina yamecha, but outside the Mikdash, it was only a 1-day mitzvah, as the pasuk says, "Ulakachtam lachem b'yayim harish." After the Churban, his kin Rabbi Yehuda ben Zakkai here established a takana. Keep the tradition going. Take the lulav throughout all 7 days of Sukkot, even outside the Mikdash, as a remembrance of the Mikdash, to bring about that yearning, looking forward, and anticipation of Binyan HaMikdash. Number 2, he was Masakan, the day of Anof HaSoimer, 16th day of Nisan, where you bring the Omer, which is generally mater, the new crop of grain for consumption. Bizman HaChurban, he said, you know what? Day 16 of Nisan, off limits. You cannot have the new crop of grain until tomorrow. The Gemara explained the reason for this. How do we know we meant to make a Zeichel HaMikdash? Perhaps you shouldn't do it. It's Baal Toisef. No. Damakra. Ki ella aruchalach. I'm going to heal you from your wounds. Ki nidacha karlach. Tziyayni. This is Yerushalayim. Dorish Eila. Nobody's interested in her. Mechlal the Boyadrisha. Apparently you meant to express your interest in the rebuilding of Yerushalayim. Relate to it. Don't forget it. Do things to bring out the zikaron, the yearning, the anticipation of Binyan HaMikdash. Shake lulav throughout the entire Sukkot as a zeicher for what happened in the Mikdash. Number 2, V'shihei Yom HaNeif Kulei Aser. So day 16 of Nisan, which is called the Yom HaNeif, Yom HaNaf HaSoimer, you meant to keep away from all the new crops of grain. My time, what's wrong? What do you mean what's wrong? It's Aser. The Gemara means like this. Really, we have 2 psukim regarding the Isser of eating Chadash. One pasuk says, you wait ad etzamei mazeh, until this day, day 16 of Nisan, to eat the new crop. Another pasuk says, when you makriv the omer, you're now mutter to eat the new grain. Which one is it? Is it totally the hakrovas omer, or in the day arriving? The answer is, depends when. During the Mikdash, you have to wait for the hakrovas omer. That's the trigger point, that's the activation point. Whereas after the Mikdash is destroyed, there's no omer, so the day is matter. So technically, once sunrise of day 16 arrives, you can have the new grain, the new chita, sa'ira, etc. So why did Rabbi Yehuda say, well, no, Bizman Hazeh, keep away from the new grain throughout the entire day, 16th day of Nisan. There is no Eimer to wait for. What's the problem? My time answer is a Gzeira. Meher Yibane Beis HaMikdash. Speedily, the Beis HaMikdash will be rebuilt. People will say like this, well, it's day 16. 16 is mutter. Look, last year we had the new crop on day 16. Why would it be different this year? They won't realize, well, this year the rules have changed. We have a Migdash, we have a Omer. You have to wait for the Omer to be Makriv. The Omer, they'll say, Ishtakat last year, haven't we had the new crop as soon as sunrise arrived? As soon as Heir Mizrach? Today as well, let's just have the new crop. As soon as 16th day of Nisan arrives, they won't realize the differentiate, the big difference. Baruch Hashem, we have the Migdash. The Ishtakat lo yavo Omer. Well, last year we had no Omer. Sure, Heir Mizrach Mater. As soon as it got light on the 16th. It's mutter. But Ashta the Ika Omer, now we have the Omer Baruch Hashem. Omer Mat, you have to wait for the Omer. So he said, you know what? Keep away from the new crop, even throughout Gullus. Day 16 is Asr. This way, when the Mikdash is rebuilt, you won't confuse things. And you'll know not to eat the new crop until the Omer. The Mivni Emas. Meheri B'nai Beis HaMikdash, right? That's the concern. When is the Mikdash going to happen? Let's try to take it apart and analyze this. What is the chashash? So this year the Mikdash is around. When was it built? On what day? On the 15th day of Nisan? The 16th day? Elam the Ibn Bit Shitza was built on the 16th day, which is really the day of the Omer. And you're concerned about confusion, and therefore you say, you know what? Don't eat Chadash on day 16 all throughout the Golas. Because of this year. What happened this year? Mikdash was built today on the 16th. And the Chadash is awesome, right? Until the Omer is brought. So that was the basis for the Isser. What do you mean? Hari Heir Mizrach Mahiter. Even this year, it's mutter. Mikdash was built today on the 16th. Sunrise arrived without a Mikdash. That triggers a heter. So even if the Mikdash was built later on in the day, it's too late. The Chadash is already mutter. So why make a Gzeira? Allow people to eat Chadash on day 16 throughout the Gullus, and even when the Mikdash gets built, the Heta still applies because Heir Mizrach occurs before Mikdash came. We're concerned that it was built yesterday on day 15th of Nisan. In that case, when day 16 arrives, you have the Mikdash in place. You have to wait for the Omer. And people will just follow their habits and have the new crop today. That's a problem. That's why he made a Gzeira. Even then, says the Gemara, at most, you have to wait until Chatzos when the Omer is brought. But past Chatzos, chances are the Omer is already taken care of and the Chadash is mutter. So, at worst case, Rabbi Yehuda should make a Gzeira until Chatzos. For concern that perhaps the Mikdash will come around and they won't realize there's a difference. They'll eat the Chadash today. Well, okay, that explains until Chatzos. You have to wait for the Omer. But past Chatzos, even when there is a need to be Makar the Omer, it was always taken care of by that point. After Chatzos, certainly it should be mutter. There's no concerns, there's none. Even when there was a Mikdash. Past Chatzos, there was never a Isra Chadash anymore. And the people living away from Yerushalayim were not sure when they were Makar the Omer. What did they do? They didn't have email then. What did they do? Mutar and Mechatzos hayom alahan. After Chatzos, they're mutar. V'shein bezin mis aslan. Boy, we can be sure bezin. We're not going to be lazy, and they're going to look after it. Make sure that it's brought early in the day. See, when there is a Mikdash, Chatzos going forward is mutar. There's never a need to make a Gzeira past Chatzos. Oh, so what scenario are we concerned about? Apparently the concern is the Ivni B'chameser Samach L'shgesacham. What happened was, we're concerned about a case where the Mikdash would be built at the last minute, on day 15 of Nisan, right near Shkia. Inami Ibn Belayli, or built throughout the night, in which case you're running very tight. By the time they get their act together, the Mikdash was built and they have to go run and get some barley and roast it and sift it and crush. It takes a lot of time. And that process could delay matters and extend it all the way till the end of the 16th. So we're concerned about this unusual case of a Mikdash being built at the last moment, the end of the 15th, throughout the night, in which case they don't have enough time to prepare for the Omer, and by the time they get around to it, it might be late in the day of the 16th. Therefore says Rabbi Yehuda, you know what? Even Bizman Hazeh, don't have Chadash on the 16th for concern about that year. A last minute Mikdash, a delayed Omer. And people won't realize, well, this year you have to wait for the Omer, they'll eat the new crop. Therefore, he says, keep the Isser. Keep the Isser, even Bizman Hazeh, Yoim Hanef, Kulei Asr. Rashi has a kasha. Beis HaMikdash is never built on Shabbos or Yom Tov, or even at night. Somewhere in Shavuos it says so. Hani mila binyan b'di adam. That's only a binyan built by people. Aval binyan ha'as, it says Rashi. Lava b'dei shamayim. That's coming from shamayim, and that can happen any time. At night, Shabbos, Yom Tov, Me'er b'yamein. So this is option number one. The Gzera was based on a concern. A last minute Mikdash, a delayed Omer. But technically, Minat Torah, of course, there's no Mikdash. As soon as Heir Mizrach arrives, day 16 dawns on you, it's mutter. We have another Mahalach in the Gemara. Omar Rav Nachman Yitzchak, or Rav Nachman Yitzchak Omar, Rabbi Yehuda Zakai b'shitas Rabbi Yehuda Amra. The reason why Yom HaNeif is Kula Asr, it's Minat Torah. Because the Torah says that when there's no Omer, you wait ad etzem Yom Hazeh. What does that mean? Chachamim learn ad until and not including day 16. As soon as the sunrise of 16 is experienced, it's mutter. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. And Rabbi Yehuda Mazaka was following Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar ad etzem Yom Hazeh means ad atzim shel yom, until the day including the day. Because Savar ad, when it says ad, it means v'ad b'chlal, until and including. You need to wait it out until the whole day of Akrav HaSayim passes you by, and then you can have the Chadash. Oh, so B'zman HaMikdash, once the Emer is brought, it's mutter. But B'zman HaZeh, you need to wait throughout the entire day of Akrava, and once that passes you by, it's mutter. But otherwise, Yom HaNeif Kulei Asr. When we say, how can you suggest that Rabbi Yochanan Zakei is in line with Rabbi Yehuda? But maybe polygally we find that Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with Rabbi Yochanan. Apparently Rabbi Yochanan did not hold his Isam Minat Torah. D'chsan, Shchar Beis HaMikdash. Hiskin, Rabbi Yochanan Zakei, Shehei Yom HaNeif Kulei Asr. Which sounds like it was Issa D'Rabbanan. Rabbi Yehuda, how can you say it's D'Rabbanan? It's Minat Torah. V'alei Minat Torah Asr. Chsev ad etzem Yom Hazeh, and we learn ad yitzum shel yom, ad v'ad b'chlal. Entire day 16 is Asr B'zman HaChurban. Is Rabbi Yehuda? He's disagreeing with Rabbi Yochanan. Rashi actually says Rabbi Yochanan lived in a later der, but he was referring back to Rabbi Yochanan. How could Rabbi Yochanan say it's a Rabbanan? He was Mechadash and Utakana. It's Minat Torah. Apparently, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai is not based on Issa Torah. How can Rav Nachman Yitzchak suggest otherwise? Answers the Gemara. Hasam Rabbi Yehuda Hudukatoi. Rabbi Yehuda misinterpreted Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai. He thought Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai with the Rabbanan Kama. Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai was introducing a new takana. That's actually not what he was doing. For the Raisa Kama. Rabbi Yochanan was based on the Raisa. It wasn't like Gzera the Rabbanan, B'zman HaZeh, you have to wait it out. What is Kinkatani? Mishnah says, Rabbi Yochanan was Masakin, which sounds like introduced a takana, not Hadai Raisa. My Hiskin. You know what Hiskin means? Dorish for Hiskin. He expounded, he explained himself. He was Dorish the Pasuk. You see, after the Churban, nobody knew what to do. Until then, the Omer was mater. What happens now? Pasuk says, Ad etzem Yom Hazeh. What does that mean? Until and not including, or including. Rabbi Yochanan got up and says, Rabbi Yisai, unfortunately, going forward, we have a new system. Ad etzem means until and including day 16. Okay, so we had two takanas in the Mishnah. After the Churban, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai was Masakan. We shake lulav throughout all 7 days, even outside the Mikdash. Zeichel Mikdash. Number 2, the entire day 16 of Nisan, you meant to keep away from the new crop of grain. We had two pshatim, either the Rabbanon, concerned about the last minute Omer, or it's Minat Torah. Dr. Mishnah, but Rishoina initially, Hayumakablin Eidos HaChodesh Kalayim. Come the 30th day of Elul, they're waiting for the Eidim to show up. Whenever they come, we accept them. We welcome them with open arms, whether they come in the morning, afternoon, or close to the end of the day. And that day becomes established as your Rosh HaShanna. Pamachas. It so happens that one time, there was trouble in Shtawa Eidim Ilavai. The Eidim got very delayed. And they came the last minute. So what's wrong? When the Skalkalu HaLevim B'Shir, we know that the Levim would sing Shira during the Karbanis. Now, By the Talmud Shabbat Abayim, they would sing Shira, but it depends what day it is. If it's a weekday, they have a standard system which they follow for weekday Shira. But if it's Rosh HaShanna, there's a different Shira, as the Gemara will explain for us. They don't know what to do. Or Edom is still going to come, or they're not going to come. Is it a weekday, which requires one type of Shira, or is it Rosh HaShanna, which requires a different Shira? They want to skalka. It caused confusion, and we're going to learn two pshat from the Gemara. Either they skipped entirely, or they did the wrong one. So at that point, they decided, you know what? We're making a deadline. Hiskinu sheloyu mekablen ella ada mincha. Past mincha, past the time, we no longer are mekabel edom, and that's it. So what happens then? V'imbo edom min mincha l'mal. If edom show up afterwards, after they brought the carbon with the weekday shira, what happens now? We ignore them. Noyag in oisayim kodesh. So they continue being noyag oisay hayom, the first day of the potential first day of Rosh HaShanna. They keep on observing Kedusha. You see, that was a standard system, Rashi explains. As soon as 29 days of Elul are up, they have to stop doing Malacha. The night before the 30th, they refrain from Malacha, just in case tomorrow, 30, will be Rosh HaShanna. So that was a standard procedure. And the Chiddush here is that even if the Edom showed up after Mincha, which is already past deadline, we no longer are Mekabel the Edom, we continue observing the day of Kedusha, or L'macha Kodesh, and of course tomorrow as well is Kodesh. That's the Ikar Rosh HaShanna. They push off Rosh HaShanna. Tomorrow is the real Rosh HaShanna. Tomorrow is Echad B'Tishrei. But still, they don't stop the Isra Malacha midday, and the reason is because it's going to create zilzal. People are going to say, well, last year we started Isra Malacha, we stopped. We want to keep things consistent, and therefore, once you started Isra Malacha, you continue until the rest of the day, until the end of the day, and into tomorrow. So this whole takana was because of the Shira de Levim. But after the Churban, this wasn't any longer an issue. Mishachar Beis Hamikdash, Hiskin, Rabbi Yochanan Zakkai, Shir Makablan Edus HaChodesh Kol Hayom, Makabel the Edus, whenever they come, there's no reason to impose a deadline. So we spoke about a case where they arrived too late, after the Talmud Shabbat Arbaim, and there was a kilkul. My kilkul Alvim B'Shir, what mishap happened with the shir? Over here in Bavel Targim, they interpreted, Shalai Amru Shir Kol Ikar. They skipped. When in doubt, you do without. They didn't know if it's going to be a weekday or a Yom Tov, so they skipped Shira. Rabbi Zera Amar, no. When you're in doubt, you don't do without. You stick to routine. Sha'amru Shira Shal Chayl. They stuck to the weekday shir. So according to the Bavel Chachamim, they skipped. According to Reb Zera, they stuck to routine. They did the shir shachel, which was obviously mistaken because it turns out the Edom showed up and it was established as Rosh HaShanna, in which case they should have sang the Rosh HaShanna song. So it was the wrong one they sang. Rabbi Zera Ava, he turned to his son, his name was Ava, the Ava Bray. Go out, Tanilu, tell them in Bavel that they're wrong. They maintain that they skipped the Shira altogether. Listen to this brayta which says, Hiskinu, they were masakin, after this mishap, they were masakin, Shaloyu makabel and edus hachodesh. You only allow the Edom to be accepted if there's enough time to run through the routine properly. Elo kadesh yeshos b'yem, there's enough time, lakav tzmidin, or masaf, and niskeim, and to say the Shira of Aloim Shira, Shaloi b'shibush, without confusion, without mistake. That's the brayta. Says Rav Zera, I'll prove that this was done to rectify the confusion which happened, the mistake that happened, because there was a mistake. They did the wrong one. This Lashna Brisa says, we have to make sure that going forward, there won't be any longer any shibush. Right? There won't be any mistakes. So if you learn that during that incident, they said the wrong one, they stuck to routine, they said the weekday shira, that explains the lashon of the brisa. So they fixed that up, and going forward, they said, you know what? We impose a deadline in order to allow things to run properly, without shibush. Hainedika shibush. That's why the brisa refers to shibush. We don't want any shibush, because the shibush already happened once. We don't want a repetition. We don't want the wrong shira. So shibush means like a mistake. Eli Amr Klal, according to the Bnei Bavel, that particular incident prompted a skipping of the shira, because when you're in doubt, you do without. My shibush ika. Why does the Brisa say, well, going forward, we no longer want to experience shibush? Mistake. There was a mistake. They just skipped. Well, of course, that's the biggest mistake. Kiva d'lo yomer klaf, they skip. In the chashibish gadol mozeh, you have no greater mistake than that. So you have no right from the brisa either way. Mosif, Rav Achbar Huna, I'm going to prove from the brisa that Rav Zera is right. That when you're in doubt, you stick to routine. Okay, so we spoke about the changing shira. Now, what exactly did they do on Rosh HaShanna which was different than the weekdays? Talmud shel Rosh HaShanna shachris karv kil chassid. So right off the bat, says the Gemara, the morning shira was routine. Rashi explains, they would stick to the weekday shira because generally the Edom wouldn't show up so early. So even if it's been established as Rosh HaShanna, but at Talmud shel Shachar we stick to the weekday shira. B'musaf ma'u, what about by musaf? Harninu, l'lekimuzeinu, hariyu l'lekei Yaakov. Why? Because it makes reference to Trua, which is the mitzvah of Rosh HaShanna. B'mincha, incidentally, Rashi points this out, this perek of Harninu is actually the same perek that they would say by Talmud shel Shachar during an ordinary Thursday. So this factor will come up soon in the Gemara. So again, Talmud shel Shachar of Rosh HaShanna, stick to routine. Musaf Harninu. B'mincha ma'u, what about Talmud sheben Arbaim on Rosh HaShanna? Oh, this is what we're looking for. What changes in Rosh HaShanna? Kol Hashem Yachal Midbar, Rashi says, to be masked the schus of the Kol Shofar Matan Torah. Okay. Ubizman shechal Rosh HaShanna liyos b'chamisha b'Shabbos. What about a case where it's Rosh HaShanna on Thursday? Sha'ashir shaloi harninu l'lekimu zenu. Now the standard weekday Thursday shir was harninu, in which case it's going to create repetition because the Musaf of Rosh HaShanna had the same perek. So what was the solution? They would delete Harninu in the morning because otherwise he's going to repeat the perek twice, once in Shachar, once in Musaf. We don't want to create boredom. We want to keep each carbon unique and special. What then do we do in the morning? In that case, when Rosh Hashanah falls out on a Thursday, and you know it's already Rosh Hashanah, we start from the middle of that perek. We skip the first part, Harninu and Hariyu. We start from the middle. Rashi says, Asiroisi Misev Shichma is referring to Yosef Atzadik, as we learned back in Avches, who was released from prison on Rosh Hashanah. So this is when you have established Rosh Hashanah already in the morning, so you work it out to avoid repetition. What about a typical case where Edom only come after Talmud shel Shachar? In which case you already said Harninu in the morning, it's too late. Oimer Harninu, so you say Harninu again by Musaf. Even though you're repeating the perek twice, so that's the bryce. We're going to try to bring a brayah from this bryce to our shaila. We had a general shaila. When you have a suffix, what to do? Do you skip or do you stick to routine? Oh, this is understandable. This works. If you say when you have a suffix, what to sing? You stick to the weekday, you stick to the routine. That's what the Brisa said in this case, where Rosh Hashanah was established after Talmud shel Shachar, in which case you already stuck to routine. You said Harninu. You say it once in the morning, again in the afternoon. Because when you're in doubt, you just stick to routine. So you've already said Harninu in the morning. But if you're going to tell me that when you have a suffix, you skip. So getting back to the case of the Mishnah, it's late in the day. No Edom came. You have the Talmud shel Arbaim at hand. What do? Do you do a weekday shira? You do a Yom Tov shira? Is it going to be Rosh Hashanah? It's not going to be Rosh Hashanah. You have a suffix. When you have a suffix, you just skip. So in this case as well, in this most recent bryce, it's a Thursday. It might be Rosh Hashanah. No Edom came yet in the morning. Should we do Harninu, L'Kimu Zenu, Harila L'Kei Yaakov, by Talmud shel Shachar, take the risk that today might end up being Rosh Hashanah, in which case you repeat it in the afternoon? Right? Should we do that? Well, according to your way of thinking, when in doubt, you do without. My Oimri. So what does the Brisa mean? Oimri v'kaifla. You do it and you say it again. Once in the morning, once in the afternoon. If you have a suffix, you might have to skip. So l'chayr, this is a right, our shaila. General hashkafa shayla. When you have a suffix, do you skip or do you stick to routine? Well, it seems from this brisa, when there's a suffix, you stick to routine. So again, in this case where it's a Thursday, it might be Rosh HaShanah. No, you stick to routine. Eidim didn't come, you say the regular morning weekday shira, harnino. Likewise, in the case where it's an afternoon, and you don't know whether today's Rosh HaShanah or not, you stick to routine. You stick to the weekday shira like Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara, there's a big difference between this case and the case in the Mishnah, in which case there was no raya from one to the other. Why? Shani Hasam. In the case of this most recent brisa, there's a big difference. There are several factors in favor of sticking to routine. Shani Hasam de Shira de Yoimehi. This Shira of Harninu belongs on Thursday morning. And the truth is that every Rosh HaShanah, you stick to routine in the morning. Talmud Shel Shachar, a standard shira, weekday shira. So really, theoretically, the weekday shira is appropriate even for Rosh HaShanah morning. That's just the way it's done. It's just that on a Thursday, we take extra precaution. We don't want doubling. We don't want repetition. So when you know that it's Rosh HaShanah, you work it out. But in this case, where it's a suffix, you just stick to routine. What's the worst thing that can happen? You repeat it. Okay. That's not enough of a reason to skip shira. As opposed to the case of the Mishnah. It's an afternoon. It's Tamid Shel Ben Abayim. You don't know. Should we sing the weekday shira or the Rosh Hashanah shira? It's one or the other. In the afternoon, you meant to switch to Rosh Hashanah. If it is Rosh Hashanah, you don't know what it is. Is it Chayz or Kodesh? It's either one or the other. You shouldn't be doing the wrong one. It's different in the morning where standard routine is to follow the weekday. Here it's an afternoon shira, which should have a special shira in Rosh Hashanah. Every day it has a special shira. So here you don't know. It's a suffix. Perhaps in this case, you should skip to avoid saying the wrong shira. So there's no raya from this brisa to the Mishnah. So bottom line is, until that kilkul, they would makabel edus the entire day. After that kilkul happened, they decided nothing past deadline. What happened? What was the kilkul? Either they skipped, or they did the shira of the chayil. So what do we learn today? Rav Huna tells us the heter of blowing is only v'im bezin. We have two versions. Either it's speaking about Rosh HaShanah shechaliyos b'Shabbos. Make sure to do it in front of the bezin, under their auspices, to avoid any isurim. According to version 2, we're speaking about Yom Kippur of Yovel. Doesn't have to be in front of bezin, but at least man bezin. When bezin is in an office, in session, to keep you mindful and aware of doing things right. Rabbi Yehuda Kessler had a total of 3 takanas. In the first Mishnah, he was masakin, shaking the lulav throughout all 7 days, Zeichel HaMikdash. Number 2, Yom Hanaf is Kuli Asr, 2 pshatim, either the Rabban or the Raisa. And last Mishnah, they had a takana to make a deadline when it comes to Kabbalas Eidos, to avoid confusion when it comes to the Shira, after the Churban. No longer was an issue. So Rabbi Yehuda going forward, with Kabbalas Eidos HaChodesh, Kol Hayom. All the best to you and much hatzlacha.